We're on the 4th race of the day. It's another 7 furlong trip, so that's 3 7 furlong races in a row. We've found the first 2 quite easy to pick something out. Get a pin. Go on, get a pin. There's 13 runners here, or 14 runners? 14 runners. I think this is the hardest race of the day.
I took a right plump here first. I think that I might regret. I've gone for number 8, Sir Whalem. Drew Basel Ruttons was never had the first 4 really last year. The last 5 runs were very good. Didn't win much, but didn't run bad. And I've just given him a plumper. But the trouble is he's drawn 1.
I was going to say 2 things would be against him for me.
Yeah.
Druba's horses will lead the run, and he's drawn 1 wrong side of the track.
But I think the draw with James Doyle, it's going to help a little bit. Other than that, I really can see about 4 or 5 horses that will be nearest damn it together at the finish line. You know what I mean? And really, I plump for him just because he runs so constantly there. Again, there's a couple here that come in, never run before at the course. Sheikh Hamdan's horses, Montiab and Etijaj, they haven't run at the course yet. And,
always puts me off.
Yeah, and that makes me think, well, first time out in this track, maybe they're having a run, sometimes they really do. Journalistic surprised me last week, even though he could have, expected him to run. He did run a good race.
He ran okay. I mean, for me, journalistic. I mean, I spoke to Wayne earlier in the week, and he'd been offered journalistic, and I kind of said, well, the maiden he won was weak. The race he was second in last week wasn't. I mean, we said before it was a very weak looking race. I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced about the horse. I hope I'm wrong. What always goes in the back of my mind is when he was being sold by Fauzi said, there's a couple of little issues with him.
Sure.
I think 80, carrying 60 in a tough field like this will make the difference. Yeah, I mean, you've got a good jockey on board, but I think getting towards it, and look, for me, he's bred for Jebel Ali. US. I mean, it's all Jebel Ali breeding as far as I'm concerned, but I get put off by that. I can't back off. For me, this race isn't a betting medium. I think this is a watch, especially as I've got 2 in there, so I'll pick the
What do you think of this go-to one of yours, First Night, with 53 on his back, who doesn't really run a bad race?
He's never been out the prize money at Jebel Ali.
Yeah.
I've said quite a few times he's a bit of a dog. He doesn't put it in at the end of races.
I thought he ran well over last time there with Richard Mullen. I thought he ran all right.
I was disappointed for 2 reasons. One, it blew a very, very profitable Yankee. And 2, before the race, I'd said to Doug, I'd like to try something the first night. I'd like to lead with it.
Yeah.
I think I'd said it here to you as well. I'd like to lead with the horse. Richie's come out and gone, I've spoke to the jocks. The jocks have said this and this, so we'll do this. I've learned from past experiences. Once jockeys have got it in the head, you fight the losing battle.
Yeah.
Richie got off the horse and said, wow, jumped out, travelling beautifully. I'm pulling him back. It's what they used to do to Kilt Rock before I turned around and said, let's lead with Kilt Rock. They kept pulling his head back. Sometimes you do that to the horse and it kind of breaks their spirit. And Richie said, then I said go, and it was almost like he said, no, you haven't let me go when I want to, I'm not going to go where you want to. And then he said, why don't you try leading with the horse? So, me being my normal sarcastic self, said, it's a novel idea, we should have thought of that. It's not Richie's fault, Richie's got the information, but myself and Doug have discussed it, and I spoke to Tig and I said, look, I'd just like to try. He doesn't have to lead, but just let him do his own thing, don't pull him back in.
See, well, the way he rode the last race on Nadashiva, Takashe, just shows he's got a brain on him and pace in front.
He can pace it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying First Night has to lead.
No.
I'm just saying if he jumps out, travels nicely, goes at an okay clip, if something wants to go faster than him, no problem, but don't pull him back. Let him do his own thing. I think we might be pleasantly surprised. The other thing is he clearly likes Jebel Ali, because even when his head's being pulled off him, he's never at prize money. If he's a good price, if he's 12 to 1, something like that, I would say he's a very good each way chance.
Yeah.
Because again, if you've got 3 or 4 lengths at that hill, only good horses are going to come past you, and he's carrying 53.
Right. What about this? What about your other horse, Final Recovery?
I brought it purely for Jebel Ali.
Yeah, and now he likes to lead sometimes, doesn't he?
He does, but I don't think it's best for him.
Yeah, okay, right. But
Again,
when he ran at Jebel Ali, I think it was last year.
Last year he led.
About this time of the year, wasn't it? For his first meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He ran a great race.
He did.
And he hasn't run there since, so it might suit him as well, mightn't it?
He's raced twice at Jebel Ali.
Yeah.
And this is the information I sent out to the syndicate when I bought it. The first time he raced, let me see if I can put his form up here. First time he raced at Jebel Ali, he was 4th. However, it was his first ever run in the UAE, and he was 4th. The 3 horses that beat him, Mushrek, went up to over 100 that year.
Yeah, he's a specialist up there as well.
Secretive loves the track. Went up about £5-6 that year. Tesla loves the track. Went up, I think, about £14 that year. So the 3 horses that finished in front of him all went up big chunks. So I looked at that and thought, that's interesting. I like that form. Then I went back and looked at his next race, which was last year when he finished 2nd. He got beat by 1. If you remember, it was a very convincing win from Wayne Smith on Mushref, who I think is running in one of the races this week. Could be Kilrock race actually. Mushref, and he won by 7 lengths. But then there was a Final Recovery led that year. Let me check the race codes. I think Final Recovery led. Soon led. Kept on, stayed on, finished 2nd. The thing is for me on that one is I looked at that race and I thought, well, Mushref went up to about 98, £15 that season.
He's 98.
Yeah,
Right.
he went up to 98, so he's gone up £15. During that period, Final Recovery's dropped. So Final Recovery is now £4. So he was rating Mushref. The handicapper rates him about 2 stone different for that 7 lengths, which I think is probably about right. But then everything else in that race we beat. Now, the old owner wanted to always bring him to Maidan, and I think his Maidan form is okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I kept saying, I love his Jebel Ali form.
Yeah, I quite agree.
And if a horse likes Jebel Ali, which he seems to, because he's only been beaten by horses that love Jebel Ali, I think this is a horse, again, a bit like First Night, he's never been out of prize money at Jebel Ali. So you take that into effect, you've got that in the back of your head. For me, I wanted to try this horse here.
Yeah.
We gave him the prep run at Sharjah just to bring him forward. I think he'll go close.
Yeah.
It's difficult for me to choose. Tig asked me which one, because I said to Tig which one do you want. It was difficult for me to say. In the end, I actually felt First Night was better for Tig. From what you said here, he judges the pace by outcomes. So, but Sam Hitchcock is on Final Recovery, and I would not be surprised to see him win.
I think they could run well. It's a tough race.
Here's an interesting fact for you. I've got 2 runners in the race. It's the first time I can say this, that both jockeys getting on my horses, the last time they rode for me, both won. Tig won on Sunday on Mafgor, and Sam, believe it or not, last time he rode for me was on Sir Edwin Lancia in the UK, and he won. So both jockeys, and if Pat wins on Kilrock, the 3 jockeys standing next to Doug Watson having the talk will be 3 jockeys on their last rides from my colours. What? Yeah. That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Good.
So
that's true.
Yeah, I'd love it to be true, but I think it's a difficult race.
Who are you going to come for then?
Well, honestly, I'm struggling to pick. I think when I wrote I made a decision earlier. When I wrote for Aladia, I picked one, and then when I send my tips to you, I'm going to pick the other. I think for Aladia, I went for First Night because of the weight. And I think Final Recovery will be there or thereabouts. So I'm intrigued anyway. I don't want the 2 of them taking each other.
I confused myself on this race, so I just pumped for the stable, the stable star of the Jebel Ali stables, Solana. And for me, I'm not confident at all.
Well, I'll say a win 3 ERC, then I've got 2 tips. You can say a win for the local track, and you've got 1 tip. Tough race. If it's a better medium that you're thinking about, if you're not doing a pick 6, if you're thinking about having a bet, I would say you've got better options during the day to keep the money in the pocket. Okay, so that's the end of race 4. Slightly easier race 5 and 6 to come. Click on the link.